What happens when the Dark Knight sees himself plunged into a dystopian future where he may be the only thing standing between the human race and annihilation? Well, let's hop into the pages of Batman Last Night on Earth, issue number 1, and find out. Alrighty then, so as the comic begins, it's a night like any other in Gotham City, with Batman trying desperately to crack a case. Granted, this case is a little stranger than normal. Someone every morning has been leaving chalk lines all over the city. They look like nothing to the human eye, but to Batman's highly advanced satellite, they make an outline of Batman's own corpse. Feeling that someone is most definitely trying to call him out, Batman decides to go and challenge this unseen perpetrator. Where is the meeting place, you might be wondering? Well, Crime Alley, of course, the very place that Bruce Wayne's parents died. Meaning that whoever did this has some pretty good pre-existing knowledge of Batman, why they even take it a macabre step forward by setting up the corpse of a small boy, the very same age Bruce was when his parents died, to ambush him. It's after catching a bullet from this sick tableau that Batman ends up waking up in a hospital bed, restrained an unknown amount of time later. Quickly, Bruce catches on to the fact that the doctor looking over him looks exactly like the Joker. The doctor, whose name is eventually revealed to be Redmond Hume, haha, get it, it's kinda like Red Hood, says that Bruce has been here in Arkham Asylum for these past 20 years, and that they may finally have made a breakthrough in finding a combination of medication that is able to help Bruce back to himself. Obviously, Batman has no reason to believe any of this, and he figures this is all just some plot by the Mad Hatter or the Scarecrow to try and trick him into thinking he's gone insane. This literally happens every couple weeks with him. But when Alfred shows up, Bruce isn't exactly sure anymore what's going on. Alfred even says that the reason that Bruce is locked up in the asylum right now is because he actually killed his parents all those years ago. And all of his so-called villains are just people from around the asylum, mostly the doctors trying to help him, why even the dinosaur and the giant penny in the cave are just stuff that's around his padded cell. But wait, Bruce thinks to himself, this can't possibly be true. Why can I speak multiple languages? Why am I a martial arts expert? Well, duh, Alfred says, you only have downtime here in the insane asylum to learn all this stuff. But perhaps Alfred's most damning piece of evidence actually comes in the form of Batman's cowl, which isn't a costume at all, but just a shock therapy helmet affixed to a straitjacket. Does Batman let this little piece of news beat him? Quite the opposite, in fact. He asks for his costume back before staging a crazy escape from the asylum. While along the way, he even thinks to add to his costume, stealing Harvey Bullock's belt and Gordon's boots just to really make himself feel more like Batman. Eventually, though, he's cornered by Alfred and the rest of the orderlies, and it's right around here they're eventually forced to give up the ghost of what's going on. Yeah, none of this is real, but this was Alfred's idea. He wanted to try and protect Bruce from what's going on outside the asylum in the real world. That the world has fallen, everything has gone to hell, and it's everything Alfred could think of to try and protect his surrogate son, Bruce. Batman begrudgingly understands, never being one to choose illusion to despair. He embraces the AI version of Alfred one last time before eventually breaking on through to the other side. And indeed, the world has changed. It's a scorched hellscape a la Mad Max, but Batman won't have to transverse it alone. He's gonna have company in the form of, well, the Joker's severed head that's just kinda sorta waiting for him when he gets up there. The Joker's not exactly much help in explaining what happened to the world. After all, he wasn't playing with a full deck to begin with, and now he's missing his body, so maybe he's just here to mess with Batman even more so. Ultimately, it's Speed Force storms that chase our very unlikely duo to Coast City, or at least the ruins of Coast City. As Joker half-hazily remembers, the city went to hell after Brainiac tried to suck all the power out of Mogo, the Green Lantern planet. This means a bunch of power rings pretty much just fell to Earth and a bunch of hapless dopes picked them up, in doing so turning themselves into, well, Green Lantern zombies, who now take the form of a horrifying hard light construct toddlers that tramp around the landscape, killing anyone who gets in their way, including Batman. It's all our hero can really do but run away. Eventually, though, he's saved by a stealth military craft piloted by Poison Ivy and Vixen of all people. They don't even believe the guy in front of them is Batman at first, feeling that, Batman died a long time ago as far as they're concerned, but once it becomes apparent that this guy might be the original article, they decide to take him back to their leader. Their leader turns out to be a much older and tired Wonder Woman leading a group of new Amazons made up with a bunch of fan-favorite superheroines. It would seem that Wonder Woman and her people are the last holdouts against the horrors of the surface world, digging deep down into the earth, into Gem World, and talking about going even further. And oh yeah, hey, this is a Black Label book with its own continuity, so it's okay for them to say that Gem World is underground and not in some, other dimension. Obviously, Batman wants to know what the hell happened, why the world is so messed up, and why there seems to be no other heroes, and Wonder Woman eventually tells him a very sad story of how everything went wrong. As Diana explains it all happened with Lex Luthor. One day he took over every screen on Earth to broadcast his message of doom, which, if you've been reading Scott Snyder's Justice League, is basically what he's actually building up to do in the main continuity right now. The doom broadcast ended up taking hold, and all over the world people turned on each other, and when that wasn't enough, they eventually turned on Luthor, tearing him apart. Then the superhero community, mankind, was its own downfall. And in this dark, horrifying power vacuum, something much worse rose to power, someone calling themselves Omega. Omega had risen out of the ashes of Gotham City and somehow managed to master the power of the anti-life equation, making them unto a god. No one could challenge him. That's pretty horrible, but it's these last two revelations that really rub the salt in Batman's wounds. First and foremost, Batman died. And the whole reason the Bruce we've been following around this whole time is younger is because he's not the original Batman. He was created in Batman's machine, the one that Snyder keeps referencing all throughout his original Batman run. Lastly, and perhaps most horrifying of all, Wonder Woman theorizes that because Omega came from Gotham, that can only mean that whoever this mystery villain is, they are probably related to Batman in one way or another, one of his disciples, if you will. Now, Wonder Woman and her people have done everything they can to save as many people from the surface, but they know that's a losing proposition. She's instead decided to cut a deal with Hades, the god of the underworld, to give all these refugees a place to live, a chance to start over with new heroes, new hopes, new dreams, and Wonder Woman hopes this younger Batman will tag along and be the Bat hero for a whole new generation. Oh, but we all know Batman don't roll like that, right? Especially when he feels so guilty about the part he played in the possible downfall of the world, and because of that, he leaves that night with only Joker's head to keep him company as the comic ends. And so that was Batman Last Night on Earth, issue number 1, everybody, and hot damn, that is what I call a good Black Label book, which is kind of funny considering that this book probably uses more actual continuity from the mainline universe right now than any other Black Label book. In truth, outside the Joker's head doing a little swearing and some more macabre imagery in the beginning, there really is few things that could stop this from being released as just a normal everyday Elseworlds. Then again, this is only issue 1, and this setup certainly promises all sorts of hellish things happening in the rest of the DC universe, and I'm definitely excited to see Batman go on this road trip. I know a lot of people are already jokingly referring to this series as Old Man Bruce, and indeed there are a lot of parallels you could draw between this and Old Man Logan, yet hilariously the Batman we're dealing with here is the youngest he's been since Zero Year. Scott Snyder is in top form. Clearly this is a story he's been meaning to tell for a very long time, and I must take my hat off to the very unique artistic stylings of the art team, whose last names I'm not even going to attempt to butcher, so let's just say, hey, good job Jonathan and FGO. Overall, I'd give this a 9.5 out of 10. What a great start.
Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again. Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out some of these other videos I have available from the channel. Then you can follow me on Twitter and Facebook at Cape Joel, so you're always up to speed on what I'm doing next. And hey, did you know, outside just making great weekly comic videos, I'm also on several comic book podcasts, some of which are very popular. There's the Weekly Pull, which the shirt I'm wearing right now, that one goes every other Tuesday. Then there's the Elseworlds Exchange over on the Comic Pop channel, that's every Wednesday around 3 to 5, give or take. And then, how could I possibly forget the Comic Multiverse, the show hosted by myself and Matt of Fortress of Solitude. That one goes live on this channel every Wednesday at 8, and also SoundCloud and iTunes later on. Be sure to check out and subscribe to those if you haven't already. I assure you, you won't be mistaken.